Hi, I'm Srishti, and my capstone topic is Beyond the Buzzword Making Accessibility Accessible. The Assets 2023 conference in New York City was my wake up call to the world of accessibility studies. Picture this: researchers from all over the world geeking out over inclusive design, business, ethics, tech, everything under the accessibility umbrella. It was that day I understood that accessibility isn't just about including all text, having larger buttons, or ensuring good color contrast. It is a whole universe bursting with possibilities and benefits beyond imagination. So, driven by a newfound passion, I made it my mission to go beyond this buzzword. I wanted to understand the evolution of accessibility, examine differing practices between industry and academia, and bridge the gap between perception and reality. So I dived deep into secondary research and parallelly conducted 7 interviews with designers and researchers from industry as well as academia. My key takeaways were that there is a significant difference in the mental models of practitioners. In academia, it's all about research driven approaches, laser focused on users with a wealth of exposure, awareness, and interest in accessibility practices. On the flip side, industry practitioners, while open to accessible design, exhibit higher resistance and superficial understanding. This can be validated by the fact that there were 4,600 ADA violations in 2023 alone against major companies due to web accessibility violations in the USA. This made me think, when several resources like the WCAG, ADA, Section 508 exist, then why are designers failing to design for accessibility? Let's understand why. Meet Sally. Sally is a UX designer in a mid-sized design studio. Sally has to deal with a complex landscape each day consisting of her external world, meaning the challenges posed due to the differing priorities and goals of her team members, as well as her internal barriers. She thinks accessible design is good to have, but is also complex, tedious, and not as relevant or rewarding. Sally is disoriented. She does not know how to begin her accessibility journey. Sally is overwhelmed. She already has a lot to do, and accessibility is an overhead. Sally is biased. She thinks designing for accessibility only benefits disabled users. Now, this got me wondering, how might we create an accessibility toolkit that helps industry practitioners like UX designers embed accessibility practices in their design process? Realizing that every designer's needs and role may differ, I opted to co-create the toolkit with my target group. I conducted one co-design workshop with 7 participants in which I observed emergent patterns in their designs and responses, shedding light on their needs and mental models. In summary, participants sought a toolkit that felt like a fun aid rather than additional work, something that they could personalize, is easy to grasp and implement. They also desired something that not only highlighted the benefits but also encouraged conscious application in their design practices. Considering the insights gathered, I filtered down to 2 ideas: a digital solution like a website or a tangible one like a deck of cards. Taking into account my users' mental models and feedback from the jury during midterms, I opted for the deck of cards as my design deliverable. This is because several digital solutions for accessibility already exist, yet they often go unused as designers struggle with where to begin and what to search for. In contrast, a deck is associated with something fun, provides a sense of ownership, is straightforward, and enables multimodal learning. It was also the top choice amongst participants. So, presenting the Access Deck, a nudge to kickstart your accessibility journey. The design of the Access Deck is a culmination of insights and feedback gathered throughout my design process. It consists a total of 43 cards, including the cover, intro card, and a user manual. Let's understand each of these, starting with the introductory card. This card features a definition of accessibility and a diagram showcasing the diverse user base it caters to, empowering designers like Sally to grasp the essence of accessibility. Now let's jump into persona cards. These cards, distinguished by their red color and a central tab with a person icon, are vital for designers like Sally. They disrupt ingrained biases by shedding light on the diverse needs of the user base, extending beyond disabled users. Sally can use them during the initial stages of a design process. While they don't cover all conditions, Sally can mix and match them to inspire inclusive designs. Depicting users with permanent, temporary, or situational disabilities across the 5 senses, each card follows a typical persona layout and also includes relevant WCAG success criteria. The content for these cards is meticulously researched from WCAG documentation, research papers, company pages, blogs, and documentaries. Before delving into the yellow WCAG cards, let's quickly grasp what WCAG is. WCAG is an international standard targeted at developers, designers, authors, policymakers, managers, and researchers. WCAG 2.2 follows the POUR principle and comprises of 13 guidelines and 87 success criteria. Each criterion contains various details, but not all of these details are relevant to designers. You can imagine how complex, heavily text-based, generalized, extremely detailed, and voluminous WCAG documentation is. To simplify WCAG for designers, the Access deck features 20 WCAG cards, each highlighting a single success criterion. These cards are color-coded and categorized by the principle they belong to, making them easily navigable. Carefully curated from the 87 criteria, these cards are tailored specifically for designers like Sally. The content is simplified, focusing only on what Sally needs to know. On the front, you'll find the conformance level, labels for related UX components, a description of the success criterion, and actionable steps for Sally. Flip the card for the goal, exceptions, testing methods, and beneficiary information. Each card also specifies the principle it belongs to and the success criterion number for further exploration. Next, the blue activity cards inspire Sally to integrate accessibility and inclusivity into her design process. Each card features a prompt on one side and points to consider or examples on the other, sparking thoughtful action. These cards are versatile, derive from insights and common industry challenges, and are designed for reuse across various projects. Sally can utilize them individually or collaboratively with her team. And finally, the user manual. It is a compact guide explaining the deck's contents, its usage, how to interpret the WCAG cards, and a brief summary of 13 guidelines. These contents were finalized based on testing and feedback rounds. So that's all about my deck. Let's discuss the process behind it. I began with a competitive analysis but found no direct solutions addressing the problem. Shifting focus, I studied general decks of cards for inspiration. I explored a variety of card deck solutions tailored for diverse purposes. Informed by this research, the Access deck design emerged. I conducted 6 iterations of low-fidelity designs focusing on clarity and easy differentiation between subsections. Subsequently, I tackled the challenge of sourcing and filtering content specifically relevant to designers. I tested the earlier version of this deck with 7 participants, 4 participants from previous research and 3 completely new participants, all UX designers. I gave them 3 tasks. I gave the deck without any instructions and asked them what they understood by it. I realized that they fairly understood the deck without any help but had some questions and things that confused them. Some key changes were resequencing, removing the icon from the back of the card, and including a user manual. For the next task, I gave them an activity card, which was the design detective card, and asked them to perform the activity. All my participants chose different web or mobile solutions, including their own work, websites, and commonly used apps like Spotify. They mentioned that they could now understand the cards better and also realized that accessibility benefits all users. However, there were still a few participants who were confused about details like what WCAG stands for, what does A, AA, AAA conformance indicate, etc. Task 3 was a basic reflection, asking them if they would use the cards, what they liked about it most, if they would want to include or modify something, and when would they use the deck. Some common favorite features were the persona cards and the labels of temporary, permanent, and situational disability, and what to do in WCAG cards. Based on these observations and feedback, I made the final version of my deck. This is my probable future scope. Thank you so much.